And hey folks, welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Michael Bryant. No, I am not Brian Buckmeyer. We'll explain. Aida Lazenring is here. Joseph McBride with me. We got lots to talk about today. Brian and I did a little flip-flop today, so we're often mistaken for one another. If you haven't met him yet, you'll see him at 3. You'll see why that's just a common misconception. Nonetheless, this is For the Record, and we got a lot for the record for you this afternoon. So there's John Fuchs, the prosecutor in this case against Henry Segura, and part of his opening statement there out of Tallahassee. Aida Lazenring is here, and also Joseph McBride. Let me start with you, Aida. First of all, great name, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure more than once it's been mispronounced.
Yes.
Okay, so bear with me if I toss in a
Sure.
mispronunciation there. You were an editor for a while with Elle magazine, right?
I was.
And you're a criminal defense attorney now.
Yes.
And you were also involved with the docuseries The Last Defense on ABC, is that correct?
That's right.
So good for you, and thanks for stopping by. So let me ask you first your impressions of this case, and maybe the big scheme of things. Are you surprised the prosecution has taken a second whack at this based on what happened the first time?
I am a little surprised, given that this isn't a case that has significant overwhelming evidence of guilt, and you have the death penalty. So without any witnesses to the crime, without any serological evidence, without any real motive to kill, it's going to be challenging for them. The 8-4 to an acquittal makes it an uphill battle. But death-authorized jurors are, in some studies, twice as likely to convict. So that would make me very nervous.
Yeah, and I think they certainly had this discussion around the table with the prosecution and the team. What do we do? Should we do this? We have these victims. We have these victims' family members. Joseph McBride is here. Joseph, you got into this crazy legal world with a very unusual start. And tell me a little bit about your brother and how that launched you into this career.
So in 2006, my brother Anthony was wrongfully convicted for a crime he absolutely did not commit. Watching my brother go to jail, an innocent man, and watching the effect that it had on my family, my mother's heartbreaking, my father there beside her, it inspired me, it changed my world, and it provoked me to get off the sidelines and to get involved. So I essentially sold my business, went to college, went to law school, became a lawyer, and here I am.
And is he out now?
He's out.
And he's doing all right?
He's doing okay.
And he's never really been exonerated, though, right?
Not to date, no.
Okay, so let's talk about this case, and I appreciate your getting into the business for such a personal reason and for sharing that. Okay, so we have a prosecution that's kicking this around. They've got all these variables they've got to weigh, but the bottom line is they want to win. The last thing they want to do is get an acquittal, but even a second mistrial is no good. So what do you see about this case? I'm putting you in the prosecutor's seat now that says to you, we're going forward with this baby.
I got to tell you the truth, I don't understand the logic behind it other than wanting to get a W. Good luck proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt. There is evidence to the contrary all over the place. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bad actors here. We have possible cartel involvement. We have possible gang involvement, vice lords. We have other people with motive all over the place. We have possible involvement on the deceased for drug trafficking. All these things speak to lots of different types of motives for lots of different types of people. Where I don't see the motive here is at the accused. Good luck proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
And we're going to talk a lot about that because the motive, as we know, is, oh, hey, he didn't pay 20 grand in child support, so let's kill the whole family. It sounds thin on its face, and as you dig deeper and find out he had other obligations with other women, he's a real peach, this guy. Whether he killed anybody or not, I don't know. But we'll get into all of that. But I think it's important that we look at what the jury sees of this guy. He testified in the first case. We can assume he's going to testify here, but he also talked to the cops. So let's take a look at the police interview with the defendant. Okay, I hope you were taking notes on your official legal pad because we're talking about a lot of detail being thrown at this jury right out of the box. I mean, this is an opening statement by the prosecution. Aida, let me ask you, too much? I mean, we're talking about there's some DNA and there's some cell phone records and he wasn't where he said he was going to be. I mean, is it too much detail in this map?
I don't think so. I think what happens is when you don't have any direct evidence, you prove your case circumstantially. And what prosecutors often say is, well, in order to do so, I have to use all these separate little pieces of the puzzle and put the whole picture together for you. But what ends up happening is you take information that's not really that relevant and you magnify it and try to create something out of virtually nothing. People do grieve in different ways. People do experience shock in different ways. People do lie and give false alibis that are innocent. In every case where an innocent person was arrested, assuming he's innocent, and the evidence to me certainly points in that direction, there is always going to be evidence of guilt. I mean, they're not going to arrest you for absolutely nothing. So that's what it tells me.
You know, Joseph, we see these cases all the time where there is some alternative suspect, but sometimes, in fact, I should say most times, it's unbelievable. I mean, they're just grasping. It just looks like a desperation move. In this case, I mean, if I wrote this as a screenplay, it would be rejected immediately because there are way too many possible other suspects and plots and plans and murder and drugs. I mean, it just is totally ridiculous. But in this case, in the real world, how do you like the alternative suspects?
The alternative suspects here, if the narrative is true behind their involvement, they have motive. I like them for the murder much more than I do.
We've got a gang, we've got potential drug cartel, and maybe even working together
Right.
to take this family out.
Absolutely. And it's interesting what the prosecutor was doing in the beginning of his statement. He's talking about an inability to use a weapon. There are 2 different caliber bullets. They put the wrong one in the chamber. It didn't fire the right way. What is he trying to do? He's trying to express to the jury that an untrained person used this weapon.
Right. This is not somebody that knows what they're doing. It's not a hit squad. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Great guests here. We're going to break this down further. This is the Florida case against Henry Segura. Cool, cold today. They're off for the long weekend, but we are catching up on all kinds of incredible testimony and evidence. Come right back. This is the Law&Crime Network.